So I must confess, I made a lot of mistakes this spring in my garden, and now it's a total mess. But I'm not very worried. Hi, welcome to God in the Greenhouse. I'm Nicola, and I'm so happy you're hanging out with me today. Why am I not worried? That I made all those mistakes and now I've got to redo 3 garden beds. Yeah, 3 of them. I'm gonna totally rip everything out, hang some stuff to dry so I don't lose out on some of the good plants and the good harvest, pitch the rest to the chickens, and literally start over. But that's okay because I have 11 plants that I picked out that are super fast at growing, very easy to grow, and I can get their seeds in the ground today and be guaranteed a wonderful, abundant fall harvest come this end of October. So if you haven't even started your garden yet, it's a great time to go ahead and at least set yourself up for the fall. And if you've made those mistakes and you've got to start all over again, come hang out with me. I'll show you what I did, how I'm going to amend them, and the 11 plants I picked out to kick off this awesome fall garden. Now the first mistake we're going to talk about is not amending your garden beds. So I got caught up with the ice storms this spring and then also just life in general. And when I finally was able to get out to the garden and start planting, I got a little too excited and I skipped a couple steps. So as you see, that bean patch, it isn't doing so well. And that is because I did not do anything to that soil. I just stuck those babies right in and watered and watched them grow. They started growing pretty well, but they didn't end up so well, as you see. Now what I'm going to do is just be ripping it all up and starting all over again. So to amend this soil, I am going to be adding my homemade compost, also some potting soil, and I'm going to be drenching it in my compost tea I have pre-made there. I'm so excited to be planting 3 new plants to grow in this bed. Now on this newly amended bed, we're going to be planting some bush beans, also some turnips, and along the fence some peas. The bush beans and the turnips can be grown together as companion plants. The bush beans will add nitrogen to the soil and make your turnips grow very, very well. All you have to do is make sure to space them between 6 and 8 inches apart. Now for the bush beans, I plant them about 1 inch deep, and for the turnips, about 1/4 inch deep. It really just depends on the seed size. You want to double the length of the seed and plant it that deep. Now as for the peas, we'll talk about those in a minute because I made my second mistake planting my first set of peas this spring. Now the second mistake I made is overcrowding. I overcrowded my peas like crazy this year. I thought last year I didn't plant enough, so this year I'm going to plant 10 times as many to get 10 times as many peas. And again, I couldn't have been any more wrong because I didn't get nearly as many peas as I got last year, and my plants are starting to die out a lot quicker than they did last year as well. So this time around for my fall garden, I'm going to make sure I space them correctly. I'm going to be planting them in a single row, 1 to 2 inches apart, probably 1.5 inches just to be on the safe side. That way I can have the pea harvest that I really dreamt of having this summer come this fall. So the third mistake I made that ended up costing me an entire garden bed full of lettuce was not getting out to my garden and weeding enough. I definitely should have been out here a lot more pulling, especially the grass that I have growing up in these garden beds, and I just didn't have the time this year, I should say this summer, because the year is not over, and either is the garden season, and that's what makes me so happy and thankful. I did end up praying to God and asking Him to give me ideas on what to do to save my garden, and He did remind me in my heart that there's a whole fall season to grow. So I sucked it up and said, let's get to work. We gotta go pull those beds and get to replanting. So now with this bed, we're going to be pulling everything you see here, amending the soil with the compost, potting soil, and the compost tea. And then once that soil's amended, we are going to be planting some lettuce, beets, and spinach. Now all three of these will grow great together, all in the same bed. All you have to do is make sure that you put them 6 inches apart when planting the seeds. For the spinach and the lettuce, plant them at a depth of 1/4 of an inch, and for the beets, 1/2 of an inch. So that fourth mistake that cost me a couple of my crops this year was the fact that I did not get them planted in time. I did not plant my radishes, my broccoli, or my cabbage soon enough in the springtime. And what had ended up happening is my broccoli and cabbage didn't even end up growing. And my radishes, they ended up doing this, growing tall, long, and pods. Now you can eat these pods, and they do have a slight radish flavor, but all in all, it's just not the same. So we're going to end up doing the same thing we did to the other 2 beds, tearing it completely up and replanting everything after we amend the soil. Now in this bed, we're not only going to be putting radishes, we're also going to be sticking in a couple cabbages. Now these both grow great together in the same bed because you can still use the same spacing, like the radishes 1 inch apart and the cabbages 6 to 12 inches apart. Because the cabbages finish growing way after the radishes, you're fine to go ahead and grow them together like this. Now, by the grace of God, I didn't make any more mistakes that cost me in my garden this year. But I do have 3 more plants I wanted to show you that I will be planting all in the same bed together. These will be squash, table queen variety, chives, the garlicky kind, and also some broccoli. I gotta get my broccoli in. Now all 3 of these do great when planted together, especially because the chives will help deter pests from the broccoli and the squash, allowing them to grow wonderfully. And the broccoli and squash, as long as you plant them at opposite ends of the bed, will grow just fine and have the space they need. Doesn't it feel so good to get that second chance? Now you can rest easy knowing that you're going to be guaranteed an abundant, beautiful fall harvest, especially with those 11 plants that I showed you, and by fixing any of those mistakes you may have made. I really hope you enjoyed and really liked this video today. If you did, I would appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up, and also leave me a comment. Let me know what other plants you're planting for your fall garden, and if there were any mistakes that you had to fix this year. Also, if you're a subscriber, I do thank you from the bottom of my heart. I do thank God every day for anybody that watches any of my videos and hangs out with me. It's such a thrill, and it's so much fun making these and talking with you all and learning with everybody. I also invite you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't. This is a newer channel that we do things through God, through the love of God, and we love to share the abundance and the peace of mind that gardening and living a life through the Lord offers. So I really hope that we'll see you in the next video, and you have a blessed day.